come to Legoland for the first time ever. That's a bumpy camera. I never came as a child because my parents always said it was for children, despite me being a child at the time. Anyway, I came because it's my 28th birthday today. I've asked to have my name on the birthday board. Something I'm going to do while I'm here is focus on the smells, and that's part of my project, the Smell of Immersion, which is all about appreciating the smells in themed environments, which is something that's perhaps not done so much. So it could be smells that are added intentionally into experiences, or just the smells that kind of come about incidentally, maybe because of crowd levels or because of the local environment. And I want to kind of think about the implications of those smells, how they make people feel emotionally, how they can maybe be a challenge for theme park designers, or maybe they can imply things about historical context, like how much cigarette smoke can you smell? I noticed here at Legoland they have these smoker compartments, so you have to go behind a special wall which really contains the smell, which is great for a children's theme park. I'm very worn out, I'm going uphill. I've just come off Flight of the Sky Lion, as you can see by the big lion in the sky above me, and it was very impressive. It was my first ever flying theatre. The scenting was interesting. There was a kind of grassy scent as you went around the kind of natural area at the beginning, and then I got whiffs of the sea and a bit of volcano, I think. I was kind of excitedly analysing the structure of the machinery. There was one vent above two different seats, so one vent per two seats, and I found it interesting to observe the frequency of the air blasts, because one problem can be if you've just got a constant flow of wind in your face, you can kind of get used to the smells, but that was very brief bursts. It wasn't constant, and it helped the smells keep their novelty, I would say. The way a flying theatre works is that there's a kind of hood over where people are sat, and inside that hood there's like a compartment that has either scent liquid, or normally for a flying theatre it's scent beads, because there won't be spillage that way when the ride starts moving around. And over that compartment is air that blows. So the air is actually the wind effect, but it kind of doubles as the scent effect as well, because when the air blows over that scent compartment, the scent ends up spreading along with the wind. Something quite interesting about the queue to Flight of the Sky Lion was that I could smell lots of different guests. I could smell minty smells because there was lots of people having chewing gum. And it made me think, just from a theme park design perspective, how the popularity and newness of a ride can kind of influence the smell of the queue, because there'll be more people in it making their own odours. So it's interesting to think of that in terms of how much control the theme park has over the kind of atmosphere of the queue, and also in terms of the emotions people are going to be feeling, because smell obviously has a strong connection to the part of the brain that processes emotions. But yeah, I just found that interesting to ponder from a design perspective. Really strong chip smell here at the Hungry Troll restaurant. So at the entrance to Legoland, there's this kind of cafe thing with a coffee smell, and I found that interesting that they put a coffee place at the entrance, because obviously guests are going to be wanting coffee when they arrive in the morning, well, some of them anyway, and that's an interesting way to kind of tempt them upon arrival. I went into the bathroom and it had a very pleasant fruity sweet kind of smell. At first I thought it was from a nearby sweet shop, because like all the buildings around there are kind of painted pink, and it's a very kid-friendly place. It's definitely a good aroma for kids, but it made me kind of a little bit hungry for sweets. The thing about sweet smells is they are kind of kid-friendly, but what's also good about them is that they bring back those happy memories. They make you feel like you're being given a treat, and they make you anticipate a treat as well, which is why that kind of smell works so well in the toilet, because you turn the corner and you see the ice cream shop, and you're anticipating a treat, and therefore you might want to buy some ice cream. Just pop by the Pirates Burger Kitchen, which sells burgers, I assume. I know that they use a burger scent in there to kind of draw people in and make them hungry for burgers. It was interesting to see again, they've got a kind of figure outside the front with a burger. They've got figures at the doorway. You know, sometimes you can smell something and you're not entirely sure what it is. A meaty smell to one person might be like a kind of rotting cadaver to another person. I suppose they kind of are the same thing. But either way, having a visual to support the smell, like a character holding a burger, make it look very fun. I've just seen some footprints on the ground, such great detailing. This is a really well-themed park. Sorry, I was just pointing out the footprints on the ground. That's something Disneyland does. It's a very nice detail to kind of add a bit of storytelling when you're walking along. Also, I'm at the kind of night castle area, and I just heard some music that I remember from my childhood. It was like the castle music from Lego Island 2, which is a pretty obscure reference, but interesting how the senses can take you back to your childhood, eh? Just been on the dragon ride, which goes through a kind of dark ride section that has a lovely apple pie smell in its bakery scene. And then you get to the dragon, and there's a nice contrast between the apple pie sweetness that makes you feel very comfortable and happy, and then that smoky, kind of dangerous dragon smell. Smelled coffee, and the coffee smell caused me to look for the shop. It's kind of the way some food smells work. When you recognise the food smell, it can make you want to seek it out, which is why it works so well for sales. Something that's to Legoland's benefit, I've noticed, is that the Lego theme means that everything's really consistent. All the theming's consistent, the storytelling through the visuals is consistent. This can be something theme parks can have a challenge with, because when they have multiple different themes, it can kind of over time, like they might have had a pirate theme in the 80s and everything's kind of doesn't look as good as it did when it was modern. But with Lego's kind of timeless, so stylistically everything looks consistent no matter how old it is, which I think really works in the park's favour. My friend Emma and I have noticed there's a kind of soft, distinctive Legoland smell that I haven't noticed at any other park. I can just kind of smell it in all the buildings and even, I think, outdoors. It just, maybe it's the kind of the eateries, that kind of chip smell, I'm not sure. Living in the time that we live in, there are a lot of hand sanitizers in theme parks. So part of the sensory experience at theme parks these days is having hands that smell of kind of soap and alcohol. I guess it's just reflective of the time. Another way that smells can kind of signify what's going on in the world. If you keep a record of them, like I'm trying to do, it's interesting how smells of different times, like when Disneyland first opened and it stunk of cigarettes, or at least I assume it did, because from what I've read, everyone was smoking everywhere outside. And you just can't imagine that these days. So it is interesting how, looking back on smells of the past, you can kind of learn things about how things were different at the time. I've just got a not dog for lunch, which is a hot dog that is not a hot dog. And it's nice to sniff it, because I don't often have food when I come to theme parks. I normally bring my own stuff. But it's nice to kind of have this classic day out, circus, amusement smell. Makes me feel like I'm really at a theme park, believe it or not. We went on the Sea Life submarine ride, and that had a really potent sea smell when you went into the loading station. I found that very immersive indeed. I know it's a cliche to say things are immersive, but as you were stepping into the submarine and the door opened, and there were like real submarines in real water, and you could see sharks in the water, and that smell just hitting you as you approached your submarine and went inside it. I was very impressed by that, and it's an incidental smell that just comes from the water. So that was very impressive. We just got very wet on the Pirate Falls splash thing, very soaked. It was a good end to the day, done lots of good sniffing, enjoyed Legoland Windsor, which has exceeded expectations, and got us very wet, as I say.